There is something happening to you right now that you have never been allowed to see. Not because it's hidden, not because it's secret, but because the moment you understand what is actually occurring while you are unconscious, while your eyes are closed and your mind is quiet and you have surrendered every pretense of control, the moment you truly see it, you cannot go back to treating your life the way you have been treating it. You've been sleeping your entire life. And I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean that literally. Every single night, you hand yourself over to a process so vast, so precise, so deeply entangled with the fabric of what reality actually is, that if you saw it clearly, if you could watch it the way a physicist watches a particle before it collapses into form, you would stop being afraid of anything. You would stop chasing. You would stop forcing. Because you would finally understand what is doing the work you've been trying to do with your conscious mind. This is not a video about sleep hygiene. This is not a video about dreams or lucid dreaming or binaural beats or any of the surface level conversations that keep you distracted from what is actually occurring at the quantum level of your biology, your consciousness, and your relationship with the field that underlies all of reality. This is a video about what the quantum field is actually doing while you sleep. And once you see it, once you genuinely look at this without flinching, nothing about how you move through your waking hours will be the same. Are you willing to look? Because most people aren't. Most people prefer the comfortable story that sleep is a pause, a reset button, a biological maintenance window that the body runs while the self takes a break. That's the story that keeps you in the position of someone who is acted upon rather than someone whose consciousness is actively participating in the construction of reality at every moment, including and especially the moments you've been calling unconscious. Here's what no one tells you about observation. The quantum field does not take breaks. Consciousness does not go offline. And the observer, the most powerful position in the universe, and does not stop observing just because your eyes are closed. Look closer. Let's start with what quantum mechanics actually says, not the watered-down version, not the metaphor dressed up as science, but the precise and measurable reality that physicists have been sitting with since the early 20th century, when they discovered something that should have changed everything but somehow got quarantined inside laboratory walls and never made it into the way we talk about human beings and their potential. The observer effect. You've heard the phrase, but do you actually know what it means? In the famous double-slit experiment, particles of light, photons, are fired at a barrier with two slits. When no one is watching, when no measuring device is present, the photons behave like waves. They pass through both slits simultaneously, creating an interference pattern on the other side. They exist in superposition in all possible states at once, every possibility alive and real and present. Then someone watches, a measuring device is introduced, and the moment the system is observed, the photon collapses. It chooses one slit. The interference pattern disappears. The wave of possibility becomes a single, fixed, definite event. The act of observation does not reveal which slit the particle went through. The act of observation determines which slit the particle goes through. Sit with that for a moment. Don't rush past what you just saw. This is not philosophy. This is measurable. This is reproducible. This is the most replicated finding in the history of physics. And what it means, what it actually means when you follow it all the way to its logical conclusion, is that reality at its most fundamental level is not a fixed structure that exists independently of the consciousness that observes it. Reality is a probability field, a superposition of all possible states, and it collapses into specific, definite form in response to observation. Now ask yourself this question, and I want you to actually ask it, not just let it slide past you like a comfortable abstraction. If the observer collapses the quantum field into form, if consciousness is the mechanism by which possibility becomes reality, then what is happening to that field while you sleep? What is happening to the probability landscape of your life, your relationships, your health, your creative potential, your sense of self? While the part of you that you call I is apparently absent, here's where it gets precise. Because the answer is not nothing. The answer is not that the field is waiting patiently for your conscious mind to return and start collapsing possibilities again. The answer is something far more extraordinary and far more challenging to the story you've been living inside. Your consciousness does not stop during sleep. It changes state. And in changing state, it does something that your waking, thinking, narrating, planning, worrying, controlling mind cannot do. It enters into a relationship with the quantum field that is more direct, more unfiltered, more powerful than anything your prefrontal cortex, the executive, analytical, self-monitoring part of your brain, can achieve while it's running the show. Let me show you why. During waking consciousness, your brain is dominated by beta wave activity. Fast, high-frequency electrical oscillations that are associated with active thinking, analysis, decision-making, and, critically, the maintenance of the self-concept. The story of who you are, the narrative of what's possible for you, the accumulated judgments, beliefs, and expectations that your mind has been rehearsing for years, sometimes decades. These beta waves are the brain's way of processing the world through the filter of what it already knows. And that filter, while useful for navigating traffic and completing spreadsheets and remembering where you put your keys, is catastrophic for quantum field interaction. Because the quantum field does not respond to what you already know. It responds to the quality and direction of your observation. And when your observation is filtered through a dense layer of fixed beliefs about what is and isn't possible, when every perception is immediately sorted and categorized and labeled by a mind that has already decided what reality looks like, you are not observing the field. You are confirming your existing construction of it. You are not collapsing possibility into reality. You are collapsing the same possibilities over and over because your observation is not open, it is directed by expectation. This is what most people's waking consciousness is doing, not observing, confirming. But look closer. As you move from waking into sleep, something remarkable happens to the brain's electrical activity. Beta waves give way to alpha waves, lower, more open, associated with relaxed awareness, creativity, and the dissolution of the rigid boundary between self and environment. This is the hypnagogic state, the threshold between waking and sleeping, and it is one of the most quantum receptive states the human nervous system can enter. The filter thins, the fixed narrative loosens, the grip of what you already believe begins to release, then deeper. Into theta waves. This is a state of deep meditation, of REM sleep, of dreaming. Theta is where memory consolidation happens, where the brain processes the emotional weight of the day's experiences, where creativity surges and connections form between concepts that the waking mind keeps in separate categories. Theta is where the boundary between observer and observed becomes genuinely permeable and deeper still. Into delta waves, the slowest, highest amplitude brain waves, deep, dreamless sleep, the state that most people think of as unconscious, as blank, as absence. The state that most people dismiss as the boring part of the night that happens between the interesting dreams. Delta is where something extraordinary is occurring, and this is the layer that almost no one talks about. Because in delta sleep, the brain is not inactive. The brain is operating in a state of such profound coherence, such deep synchronization between different regions, that some researchers have described it as the brain's most integrated state. The noise of individual, competing neural networks quiets. The self-referential chatter of the default mode network, the part of the brain that generates the ongoing story of I, drops to its lowest activity level of the entire 24-hour cycle. And when the I quiets, when the narrator steps back, something that has been running underneath it, something vast and coherent and deeply connected to the field that underlies all of physical reality, comes forward. This is not metaphor. This is measurable. This is what the data shows. And it is the beginning of understanding what the quantum field is actually doing while you sleep. If what you're seeing here is landing, if something in you is recognizing this rather than just hearing it for the first time, like this video and subscribe. Not for the algorithm, because you're choosing to stay in the clarity. Every video on this channel is an invitation to look more carefully at something you've been avoiding. Now watch what happens when you take this one step further. The quantum field, what physicists call the zero-point field, the vacuum energy, the ground state of reality from which all particles and forces emerge, is not somewhere else. It is not a distant substrate that your consciousness occasionally dips into during extraordinary experiences. It is the medium in which you exist at every moment, at every scale, in every state of consciousness. Your body is not a solid object moving through a field. Your body is a pattern of excitation within the field. Your cells, your neurons, your DNA, these are not things that the quantum field surrounds. These are things that the quantum field is. The distinction between your biology and the quantum substrate of reality is not a distinction of location. It is a distinction of scale and organization. And at night, when the organizing principle of your waking identity, the I that maintains the story, the filter, the fixed expectation, relaxes its grip, the communication between your biology and the quantum field becomes more direct, more fluid, more capable of what physicists call non-local correlation, the quantum phenomenon where two particles, once entangled, respond to each other instantaneously, regardless of the distance between them. Your biology is entangled with the field, not metaphorically. Quantum biologists have been demonstrating for decades that quantum effects operate in living systems, in photosynthesis, in enzyme catalysis, in the navigation systems of migratory birds, in the structure of DNA. The quantum is not something that happens only in particle accelerators and laboratory vacuum chambers. The quantum is what life is made of at its most fundamental level, and at night, while you sleep, your biology is in conversation with that field in a way that your waking mind with all its noise and narration and need to control, cannot replicate. Let me give you a parable. Watch this carefully. There was a woman named Mira who lived in a house at the edge of a vast forest. Every morning she would wake before dawn and walk the path through the forest to the village on the other side. She had walked this path for so many years that she had stopped seeing the forest. She saw the path, she saw the next step, she saw the time on her watch and the list in her mind of everything she needed to do when she arrived. The forest, which was alive with movement, with the web of root systems underground, with the birds that track the electromagnetic field of the earth, with the fungi that transmitted chemical signals between trees in a network so complex it made her mind look simple. The forest was invisible to her, not because it wasn't there, because she wasn't watching it. She was watching her path, her time, her plan. One morning, Mira fell. Not dramatically, not dangerously. She simply tripped on a root she'd walked over 1,000 times and sat down hard in the middle of the path. And in the moment of sitting, in the involuntary pause, the interruption of her forward momentum, she looked up. She saw the forest, not as background, not as scenery, as a living system of such extraordinary complexity and interconnection that she sat on the path for a long time, unable to move, because what she was seeing was rearranging something in her. The way the light came through the canopy, the way the roots of different trees wove together underground, visible where the path had eroded, the way the birds moved not randomly but in response to something she couldn't see, a signal, a communication, a field of information that the birds were reading and responding to in real time. Mira had been walking through a quantum field every morning of her life, and she had never seen it because she was too busy watching her path. That night, she dreamed of the forest, but not the forest she had seen that morning. She dreamed of the forest as it was beneath the surface, the root networks, the fungal threads, the electrical impulses moving through the soil, the way every tree was connected to every other tree in a web of information exchange that had no center and no edge. She dreamed of herself as part of that web, not walking through it, part of it, entangled with it. She woke up knowing something she hadn't known the night before. Not a fact, not a piece of information she could have looked up. A knowing, a direct perception of something that her walking, planning, time-watching mind had been filtering out. And the path through the forest was never the same again. Not because the forest had changed, because Mira had stopped looking only at the path. You have been walking through a quantum field every moment of your life. And every night while you sleep, that field is doing something with you, something to you, something through you. And you've been waking up every morning, picking up your to-do list, and walking the path without seeing it. Today, you see the forest. Let's go deeper into what you're actually seeing. The work the quantum field does during sleep is not random. It is not passive. And it is not merely biological maintenance, neurons pruning synapses, cells repairing damage, the immune system running its nightly checks. Those things are happening. But they are happening within a larger process that most neuroscience has not yet found the language to describe, because the language of neuroscience is still largely the language of mechanism, of cause and effect, of input and output, of chemical reactions and electrical signals. The quantum field is not a mechanism, it is a field of probability and potential. And its interaction with your consciousness during sleep is not a mechanical process. It is an observation process. Here's what that means precisely. During sleep, particularly during the deep oscillations between REM and non-REM states that cycle through the night, your brain is not simply storing and organizing the day's experiences. It is doing something that physicists would recognize as quantum error correction. It is taking the collapsed, fixed, specific reality that your waking consciousness has been constructing, the set of beliefs, the rehearsed expectations, the calcified story of what is possible, and returning those structures to a state of superposition, not completely, not all at once, but in the delta and theta states, the brain's coherent oscillations create conditions in which the fixed neural patterns that encode your beliefs and expectations about reality become temporarily fluid. The quantum states of the molecules within your neurons, which operate at temperatures and timescales that researchers once thought were too warm and too noisy for quantum effects, are now understood to maintain quantum coherence long enough to matter, long enough for the field to interact with them. And in that interaction, something is being rewritten, not by you, not by your conscious intention, by the field itself in response to the totality of your consciousness, not just the part you call I. This is the layer underneath that, and it's the one that changes everything. Your waking consciousness is the part of you that observes through the filter of what you already believe. But your sleeping consciousness, your consciousness in the delta state, in the deep coherent oscillations of dreamless sleep, is in contact with the part of you that exists before belief, before story, before the construction of self, and the quantum field, which does not respond to what you believe, but to what you are at the level of your most fundamental energetic signature, your field, your coherence, your actual vibrational state, is reading that deeper layer every night and responding to it. This is why people sometimes wake up with solutions to problems they couldn't solve while awake. Not because the brain ran a background process that happened to produce the answer, though that is part of what happens, but because in the sleeping state, the problem was returned to superposition, all possible solutions alive and present simultaneously, and the field collapsed, the one that resonated with the deepest frequency of the person's actual consciousness, not their thinking. This is why grief sometimes lifts overnight, not because the loss became less real, but because in the sleeping state, the nervous system's entanglement with the field allowed a reconfiguration of the emotional structure that the waking mind, with its insistence on maintaining the story of loss, could not achieve on its own. This is why creative breakthroughs happen in the hypnagogic state, in the threshold between waking and sleeping, where alpha and theta waves merge and the boundary between what you know and what the field knows becomes momentarily transparent. The quantum field is not waiting for you to fall asleep so it can run maintenance. It is waiting for you to fall asleep so it can show you what's possible when you stop insisting on what's real. Watch what happens in your body when you hear this, because there is something in you that already knew this. Something that has been trying to tell you every morning when you wake up with a feeling you can't explain, a sense of possibility or a sense of dread, or a knowing about something you haven't consciously thought about. That the night was not empty, that something happened, that you were somewhere, doing something, being something, that your waking mind doesn't have the architecture to fully receive. You already see it, you just haven't admitted it to yourself yet. Now let's look at the specific mechanisms, because this is where it gets precise, And precision matters here because the comfortable story, the one that says sleep is just biology, that the quantum field is just physics, that consciousness is just the brain, that story is not going to release its grip without something more than poetry. It needs to be seen through. And seeing through it requires looking at the actual structure of what's happening. The human brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons. Each neuron is connected to thousands of others through synaptic connections, creating a network of such staggering complexity that the number of possible connection states exceeds the number of atoms in the observable universe. This is not an exaggeration. This is the mathematics of the brain. Now, within each neuron, there are structures called microtubules. These are protein polymers that form the internal scaffolding of the cell, and for decades, they were understood primarily as structural elements, the skeleton of the neuron. But in the 1990s, physicist Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff proposed something that the scientific establishment found deeply uncomfortable. They proposed that microtubules are the site of quantum computation in the brain, that the tubulin proteins within microtubules exist in quantum superpositions in multiple states simultaneously, and that the collapse of these superpositions orchestrated by quantum gravity effects is the physical correlate of conscious experience. This is the orchestrated objective reduction theory, and while it remains controversial, it has not been disproved. And the implications, if it is correct, are staggering. Because if consciousness arises from quantum processes in microtubules, then consciousness is not a byproduct of classical neural computation. Consciousness is a quantum phenomenon. It is entangled with the quantum field at the most fundamental level of its operation. And during sleep, when the brain's activity shifts into the coherent, synchronized oscillations of deep sleep, the microtubules within neurons are operating in a state of reduced thermal noise and increased quantum coherence. The conditions for quantum computation improve. The interface between consciousness and the quantum field becomes more direct. This is not speculation dressed as science. This is the direction that quantum biology and consciousness research is moving, and it is moving there because the data keeps pointing that way. The quantum is not irrelevant to life. The quantum is what life is doing at its most fundamental level all the time. And during sleep, it is doing it with less interference from the machinery of waking thought. But look closer, because there is a layer underneath the neuroscience that is even more important than the mechanism. And it is this: the quantum field is not just responding to your brain. It is not just responding to your thoughts, your beliefs, your intentions. It is responding to your coherence, to the degree to which your entire system, body, mind, nervous system, electromagnetic field, is operating as a unified, integrated whole, rather than a collection of competing, fragmented signals. And here's the thing that most people have never been told about sleep. The reason sleep is so critical to quantum field interaction is not primarily because of the brain states it produces. It is because sleep is the one time in your day when your system is forced, by biology, by the withdrawal of sensory input, by the cessation of voluntary muscular activity, into a state of coherence that your waking life, with its constant demands and distractions and fragmented attention, cannot sustain. When you sleep, your heart rate slows and becomes more rhythmic. Your breathing deepens and regularizes. Your body temperature drops and stabilizes. The electromagnetic field generated by your heart which extends several feet outside your body and is 60 times more powerful than the electromagnetic field generated by your brain, enters into coherence with the electromagnetic field of the Earth itself. This is measurable. The Schumann resonances, the electromagnetic frequencies generated by lightning strikes in the cavity between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere, overlap precisely with the frequencies of the sleeping human brain. Delta waves, theta waves, the frequencies of deep sleep and dreaming. You are not just sleeping, you are synchronizing. Every night, your biology is synchronizing with the electromagnetic field of the planet. And through that synchronization, through that coherence, your consciousness is entering into a state of quantum entanglement with the field that underlies all of physical reality. This is not a metaphor. This is the physics of what you are. And the question that should be keeping you up at night, except that it will actually help you sleep more deeply, is this. What are you bringing into that synchronization? What is the quality of the consciousness that is entering into coherence with the quantum field every night? What is the frequency of the signal that the field is receiving from you? Because the field does not judge. The field does not evaluate. The field responds. It collapses probability into reality in the direction of whatever it is receiving. And if what it is receiving is a signal composed of unresolved fear, fragmented attention, suppressed emotion, and a self-concept built on the story of what isn't working, that is what it collapses. That is what it builds. And if what it is receiving is a signal composed of coherence, of clear seeing, of the observer who has stopped reacting and started witnessing, the field responds to that too. Pause here. This is not a thought exercise. This is an observation. I want you to do something right now before we go further. Not later, now. Close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to notice, not think about, notice what your body is doing right now, not what it looks like, what it feels like from the inside. Notice the rhythm of your breathing. Notice whether it is shallow or deep. Notice whether your chest is tight or open. Notice the quality of the tension or relaxation in your shoulders, your jaw, your hands. Now notice the quality of your attention, not what you're thinking about. The quality of the attention itself. Is it scattered? Is it focused? Is it anxious, reaching ahead to the next thing? Or is it here, present, watching? Now ask yourself this. If the quantum field is receiving a signal from you right now, if the probability field of your reality is being shaped by the quality of consciousness you are bringing to this moment, what is it receiving? Not what you want it to receive, what it is actually receiving. Stay with that. Don't move past it. Because what you just observed is more important than anything I'm about to tell you. Because what you just observed is the actual signal you are bringing into your sleep tonight, into your synchronization with the field, into the quantum conversation that will happen while you are unconscious. Open your eyes. Here's the layer underneath that. Most people approach sleep as an ending. The day is over. The work is done. The performance is finished. Sleep is where you stop. And that framing, that unconscious assumption that sleep is a pause in your life rather than an active, generative, quantum-level engagement with the field of all possibility, is costing you more than you know. Because what you bring into sleep, you bring into the field. And what the field receives, it amplifies. And what it amplifies, it collapses into the reality you wake up into. This is why the hour before sleep matters so much. Not because of what the sleep experts tell you about blue light and cortisol and sleep hygiene, though those things are real, but because the hour before sleep is the hour in which you are preparing the signal. You are setting the frequency. You are determining what consciousness will carry into the synchronization. And most people spend that hour consuming, scrolling through evidence of everything that is wrong with the world, replaying the conflicts of the day, rehearsing the anxieties of tomorrow, feeding the nervous system a steady stream of threat signals that the body then carries into the hypnagogic state, into the theta state, into the delta state, into the quantum field. And then they wonder why they wake up tired, why the same problems keep showing up, why the same patterns keep repeating, why reality keeps collapsing into the same configuration no matter how hard they try to change it during their waking hours. You cannot out-manifest a sleeping signal that is broadcasting fear. You cannot override with daytime affirmations what your consciousness is transmitting to the quantum field for 8 hours every night. The field is not listening to your affirmations. The field is reading your coherence. And your coherence is being set, in large part, by the quality of consciousness you carry into sleep. But watch what happens when you understand this, because the moment you see it, the moment you genuinely look at what has been happening while you weren't watching, it stops being a problem and starts being an opportunity so vast that it reorganizes everything. You have access to the quantum field every single night. You have access to the most powerful state of consciousness your biology can produce, the delta state, the synchronization with the Earth's electromagnetic field, the direct interface between your consciousness and the probability landscape of your reality, every single night, for free, without effort, without technique, without purchasing anything or achieving anything or becoming anything. It is already happening. It has always been happening. The only thing that changes now is that you see it. And what you see, you can work with. This video touches the surface of something that goes much deeper. If you want to explore the complete system, the full framework for working with the observer state across both your waking and sleeping hours, including the specific practices for cultivating coherence at the threshold, the Quantum Watcher program goes into all of it in precise detail. Everything this channel points toward, that program maps completely. You can find it linked in the description below. Let me show you another layer. There is something that happens in the REM state, in rapid eye movement sleep, the state most associated with dreaming, that is so precise in its relationship to the quantum observer effect that it demands to be looked at directly. During REM sleep, the eyes move rapidly beneath closed lids. The motor cortex is active. The emotional processing centers of the brain, the amygdala, the hippocampus, are operating at levels that sometimes exceed their waking activity. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of rational analysis and self-monitoring, is largely suppressed. And in this state, you are doing something extraordinary. You are observing, not with your physical eyes, with your consciousness. You are watching experiences, vivid, emotionally rich, spatially coherent experiences that are being generated entirely by your own mind. You are the observer and the observed, the watcher and the watched. The consciousness generating the experience and the consciousness witnessing it. This is the quantum observer effect in its most intimate form. Because in the dream state, there is no external reality to collapse. There is only the field of your own consciousness generating possibility and collapsing it simultaneously. And what you observe in that state, what your dreaming consciousness watches, what it focuses on, what it attends to, shapes the probability landscape of your waking reality. This is not mysticism. This is the logical extension of quantum mechanics applied to the only system we have direct access to, consciousness itself. The dreams you remember are not random. They are the ones that carried enough emotional charge to cross the threshold from the sleeping to the waking state. And the emotional charge they carry is information. It is the field showing you, through the language of symbol and narrative and felt sense, what is alive in your consciousness at the quantum level. What possibilities are active? What patterns are being reinforced? What is ready to collapse into form? Most people dismiss their dreams. They wake up, shake off the images, and move into the day as if the night were irrelevant. But look at what they're dismissing. They're dismissing the most direct communication they receive from the quantum field. They're throwing away the field's report on the state of their own consciousness. Now watch this carefully, because this is where the observer effect becomes personal in a way that is impossible to ignore. The quality of your dream state, the emotional texture of your dreaming consciousness, the degree to which your dreaming self is observing from a place of clarity or reacting from a place of fear, is a direct reflection of the quality of your relationship with the quantum field. And it is also a direct influence on it. Researchers studying lucid dreaming, the state in which the dreamer becomes aware that they are dreaming and can observe the dream without being lost in it, have found something that should be headline news in every conversation about consciousness and reality. When a dreamer becomes lucid, when the observer awakens within the dream itself changes. The quality of the experience shifts. The emotional charge transforms. The narrative that was running on autopilot becomes available for conscious engagement. The observer wakes up inside the dream, and reality, dream reality, which is quantum reality at its most transparent, responds. This is the double-slit experiment in the theater of your own sleeping mind. The moment the observer is present, the wave function collapses differently. The possibilities that were running as an interference pattern, all possible dream narratives simultaneously present, collapse into a single, clear, conscious experience. And the practice of becoming the observer in your dreams is not separate from the practice of becoming the observer in your waking life. They are the same practice, the same capacity, the same quantum relationship between consciousness and the field, just in different states. Here's what that reveals. Every spiritual tradition that has ever existed has had a practice for the night. Not just for sleep, but for the transition into sleep, for the dreaming state, for the moment of waking. The Tibetan Buddhist practice of dream yoga, the indigenous traditions of dream time, the Sufi practice of muraqabah, of watchful meditation before sleep, the Jewish practice of the bedtime Shema, the final act of witnessing before consciousness surrenders to the night, the Christian contemplative tradition of Compline, the night prayer that surrenders the day to something larger. These traditions were not practicing these things because of superstition or cultural habit. They were practicing them because they knew, through direct observation across thousands of years, that the night is not empty. that what happens in the sleeping state matters, that the quality of consciousness brought into sleep shapes the quality of consciousness that emerges from it. And now quantum mechanics is giving us the language to say precisely why. I want to pause here and ask you something directly. Has there been a moment in your own life, a morning you woke up knowing something you hadn't known the night before, a dream that showed you something true before your waking mind could explain it, where you felt the field speaking through the night? Drop it in the comments. What did the night show you that the day had been filtering out? Let me take you deeper into the parable, because there is a second character in Miras' story, and you need to meet him. His name was Kael. And Kael had been studying the forest his entire life. He knew the names of every species of tree. He knew the mycorrhizal networks, the root systems, the chemical signals. He had read every paper ever published about the forest's ecology. He could tell you with precision how the trees communicated, how the fungi transmitted nutrients, how the birds navigated by magnetic field. But Kael had never sat in the forest at night. He had walked through it, observed it, measured it, but always in daylight, always with his instruments, always with his notebook and his categories and his scientific framework that told him what he was looking at before he looked at it. One night, Mira invited him to sit in the forest with her after dark. Not to observe, not to measure, just to sit, just to be in the field of the forest without the instruments and the categories and the daylight that made everything visible and therefore, in a certain sense, already known. Kael sat, and for a long time he was uncomfortable. Because in the dark, his instruments were useless, his categories were useless. His knowledge of what he was looking at was useless because he couldn't see what he was looking at. He had to feel it. He had to sense it. He had to let his nervous system do something that his mind had always done instead. He had to let himself be in the field rather than observing it from outside. And something happened, something that Kael could not have predicted from his knowledge of forest ecology. Because it was not an ecological event. It was a perceptual event. In the dark, without the visual input that his brain normally used to construct the category forest, and then stop looking, in the dark, with nothing to confirm his existing knowledge, his perception opened. He began to feel the electromagnetic field of the forest. Not metaphorically. He began to feel it the way a bird feels the magnetic field of the earth, not as a sensation he could name, but as a knowing, a directional sense, a feeling of being oriented within something larger than himself. He sat in that forest all night, and in the morning, when the light came and his instruments became useful again, he saw the forest differently. Not because the forest had changed, because Kael had experienced what his instruments could only measure. He had been inside the field rather than outside it. He wrote one sentence in his notebook that morning, a sentence that changed the direction of his research for the rest of his career. He wrote, "The observer who enters the field is not the same observer who stood outside it. And you have been both Mira and Kael. You have been the one who walks through the quantum field without seeing it, and the one who studies it from outside without entering it. But every night, without your permission, without your planning, without your instruments or your categories or your need to understand before you experience, every night, you enter the field. You sit in the dark forest. You feel it from inside. The question is not whether this is happening. It is. The question is whether you're going to keep waking up and walking the path without seeing it, or whether you're going to start bringing the observer into the night. because that is the practice, and it is simpler than you think, and more powerful than you can imagine. Let's go deeper into what that practice actually is, because I want to be precise here. I am not going to tell you to buy a sleep tracker or download an app or follow a 7-step protocol. I'm going to tell you what the observer does, and then I am going to tell you how to do it at the threshold of sleep, where the quantum field is most accessible, most responsive, most open to the quality of consciousness you bring. The observer does not control. The observer does not force. The observer does not set intentions with the grip of someone who is afraid that without the right intention, the wrong thing will happen. The observer watches. The observer sees clearly. The observer is present without agenda, aware without evaluation, awake without effort. And in that state, in the state of clear, open, non-reactive watching, the quantum field receives a signal of coherence, of clarity, of a consciousness that is not fragmented by fear or divided by competing desires or collapsed by the weight of what it has already decided is true. It receives a signal of superposition, of a consciousness that is open to all possibilities rather than insisting on one. And the field responds to that signal. It collapses probability in the direction of coherence, in the direction of clarity, in the direction of what is genuinely possible for a consciousness that has stopped insisting on its own limitations. This is not belief. This is quantum mechanics. Pause here. This is not a thought exercise. This is an observation. Tonight, before you sleep, I want you to do something, not a ritual, not a performance, an observation. Lie down, not to sleep yet, just to lie down. And for a few minutes before you reach for your phone or let your mind run its usual loop of tomorrow's concerns, I want you to become the observer of your own transition. Watch your breathing change as you become horizontal. Watch the quality of your thoughts, not the content, the quality. Are they fast or slow, tight or loose, anxious or curious? Watch the boundary between waking and sleeping. Not to stay awake, not to maintain consciousness, but to observe for as long as you can the process of consciousness changing state. The way the edges of your thoughts become less defined, the way images begin to form without your choosing them, the way the narrative voice, the one that says I am and I need and I want and I'm afraid, begins to quiet. Watch it quiet. Don't help it. Don't hurry it. Just watch. And as you watch, notice what is watching. Notice that there is something in you that can observe the process of falling asleep without falling asleep. Something that can witness the dissolution of the waking self without dissolving. Something that remains present even as the I that you usually call yourself begins to release. That something, that witness, that observer is what enters the quantum field when you sleep. It is what is in conversation with the field all night. And the quality of that witness, the clarity, the openness, the degree to which it is watching rather than reacting, is the signal the field receives. Tonight, you are not just going to sleep. You're entering the field, and you are entering it as an observer. Bring that quality into the threshold. Let it be the last thing you do before the night takes you. And watch what you wake up knowing. Now let's look at the piece that most people find the hardest to see. Because everything I've described so far, the quantum field, the brain states, the electromagnetic synchronization, the observer effect in dreams, all of it points to something that the thinking mind finds deeply uncomfortable. And it is this: you are not in control of most of what is creating your reality. Not because you are powerless, but because the part of you that thinks it is in control, the waking, planning, efforting, manifesting, trying part, is operating on a tiny fraction of the actual bandwidth of your consciousness. It is the surface of the ocean insisting that it is the ocean. The quantum field is not responding primarily to your conscious intentions. It is responding to your total signal, the coherence or incoherence of your entire system, including the parts that are operating below the threshold of your awareness, including the parts that speak most clearly when the waking mind is quiet, including the parts that are most active, most coherent, most directly in contact with the field while you sleep. This is the thing you've been avoiding looking at, not because it's frightening, because seeing it clearly means the end of the strategy you've been using. The strategy of trying harder, of setting better intentions, of visualizing more vividly, of affirming more persistently, of doing more, thinking more, controlling more. Hoping that if you can just get the waking mind working hard enough, reality will bend to it. But the quantum field is not bending to your waking mind. It is responding to your total consciousness. And your total consciousness is speaking most clearly, most coherently, most powerfully in the state you've been dismissing as unconscious. The moment you see this, the strategy changes entirely. Not from effort to passivity, from control to coherence, from forcing to witnessing, from trying to manifest with the surface of your mind to cultivating the quality of consciousness that enters the field every night. Because you cannot fake coherence, you cannot perform clarity. The field reads the actual signal, not the intended one. And the actual signal is set by the quality of your observation, by whether you are watching your life or reacting to it, by whether you are seeing clearly or confirming what you already believe, by whether the witness in you is awake or asleep even when your body is not. This is where it gets personal, and I want you to stay with it. Look at your life right now, not the story of your life, the actual shape of it. The patterns that keep repeating, the situations that keep arising in different forms, the relationships that feel familiar in ways that go beyond the people involved, the emotional states that return no matter how much you've worked on yourself. These are not random, these are not bad luck. These are not the result of a universe that doesn't care about you or a quantum field that isn't listening. These are the field's precise response to the signal it has been receiving every night in the state of maximum coherence. From the part of you that is most directly entangled with the probability landscape of your reality, and the signal it has been receiving, the signal that has been collapsing these patterns into form over and over, is not the signal of your conscious intentions. It is the signal of your unexamined consciousness. The beliefs that run below the surface, the emotional patterns that activate before thought, the identity constructions that feel so fundamental you've never thought to look at them directly. Because what you don't observe controls you, and what you observe, what you genuinely, clearly, unflinchingly see, begins to transform the moment the light of your awareness touches it. This is not a metaphor. This is the observer effect applied to the most important quantum system you have access to, yourself. Look closer. What is the pattern in your life that you have been refusing to look at directly? Not the surface version of it, the story you tell about it that keeps it at a safe distance. the actual pattern, the one that shows up in your body before your mind can explain it, the one that has been running long enough that you've started to call it just the way things are, or just who I am. That pattern is a quantum probability that has been collapsing into the same configuration night after night, because the signal entering the field has been consistent, coherently consistent in the direction of the pattern, not because you want the pattern, because you haven't seen it clearly enough to stop reinforcing it. And the moment you see it, the moment you look at it with the same quality of attention that a physicist brings to a quantum system, clear and precise and without the need for it to be anything other than what it is, the moment you genuinely observe it, it begins to change. Not because you forced it to change, because observation is the mechanism of change at the quantum level. Because the act of seeing clearly is the act of introducing a new variable into the probability calculation. Because the observer, by observing, collapses the wave function differently, you are the observer. And what you observe at the quantum level, you fundamentally change. Here's the layer that brings everything together. There is a practice that exists at the intersection of quantum mechanics, neuroscience, and the ancient traditions of witness consciousness. And it is so simple that the mind wants to dismiss it. The mind wants something more complex, more effortful, more controllable. Because the mind is afraid that if it's this simple, it means the mind isn't necessary. And it's right to be afraid of that. Because the observer is not the mind. The observer is what watches the mind. The practice is this: before sleep and upon waking and in the moments of the day when you catch yourself reacting, stop. Not to control the reaction, not to replace it with a better thought, just to watch it, to become the observer of whatever is happening in you without the need to fix it, explain it, or make it mean something. Watch the fear without becoming the fear. Watch the desire without becoming the desire. Watch the thought without becoming the thought. Watch the pattern without becoming the pattern. And then watch what happens when you watch. Notice what shifts in the body when the observer is present. Notice how the emotional charge of a thought changes when it is witnessed rather than identified with. Notice how the quality of your consciousness changes when you stop being inside the reaction and start being the one who sees it. This is the observer state, and it is not a technique, it is not a skill you develop over time. It is what you are when you stop pretending to be what you are reacting to. The quantum field responds to this, not as a reward for good behavior, but because the observer state is a state of coherence, of clarity, of a consciousness that is not fragmented by the noise of unexamined reaction. And coherence is the signal that the field amplifies. Coherence is the signal that collapses probability in the direction of what is genuinely possible rather than what the pattern has always produced. Every night, you enter the field. Every night, the field receives your signal. Every night, reality is being shaped by the quality of consciousness you carry into the dark. And now you see it, and what has been seen cannot be unseen. Let me give you the third layer of this, the one that goes all the way down. Because there is something about the sleeping state that goes beyond neuroscience and beyond quantum biology. Something that the most precise physics we have is pointing toward, even if it hasn't arrived there yet. Something that the ancient traditions knew and encoded in their night practices, in their dream work, in their understanding of what consciousness is and where it goes when the body sleeps. Consciousness does not end at the boundary of the body. This is not a spiritual claim. This is the logical implication of quantum entanglement taken seriously. If particles that have once interacted remain entangled regardless of the distance between them, if the state of one instantaneously influences the state of the other faster than light across any distance, then consciousness, which arises from quantum processes, is not bounded by the skull. It is not bounded by the body, it is entangled with the field, and through the field it is entangled with everything that the field is, which is everything. During sleep, when the body is still and the self is quiet, the consciousness that is entangled with everything does not contract to the size of the body. It expands, not metaphorically, not in the sense of a feeling of expansion, in the sense that the quantum entanglement between your consciousness and the field is less obscured by the noise of waking identity, less filtered by the self-concept that insists on the boundary between me and not me. And in that state of expansion, your consciousness is in contact with, is entangled with, the consciousness of every other system that shares the field, which is every other system, every person, every living thing, the earth itself, the field that underlies all of physical reality. This is the quantum basis of what the indigenous traditions call the dream time, the shared field of consciousness that all living beings participate in, that carries information across distances that the waking mind cannot bridge. That is the source of the knowing that arrives in the night that the waking mind could not have produced on its own. This is the quantum basis of the experiences that people across every culture and every era have described. The dream that showed them something true about someone they love who is far away, the night vision that solved a problem the waking mind had been wrestling with for months, the sense upon waking of having been somewhere, of having received something, of having been in contact with something larger than the individual self. These are not hallucinations. These are not wish fulfillment. These are the experiences of a consciousness that is genuinely entangled with the field. That is, in the sleeping state, less insistent on the illusion of separation, receiving information that the field carries. And the quality of that reception, the clarity, the openness, the degree to which the observer is present in the sleeping state, determines how much of that information crosses the threshold into waking consciousness. How much of what the field shows you in the night you are able to bring back into the day. This is why the practices of the night matter, not as rituals, not as superstition, but as the cultivation of the observer in the state where the observer has the most direct access to the field, the most direct access to the totality of what is possible, the most direct access to the quantum probability landscape of your own reality. Let me be precise about what this means for you. The version of your life that you are living right now is not the only version that exists. It is the version that has been collapsing into form based on the signal your consciousness has been transmitting during the day and during the night, and in every moment in between. It is the version that corresponds to the current quality of your observation, and there are other versions. Not in a science fiction sense, in a quantum sense, in the sense that the probability field of your reality contains superpositions, multiple possible configurations of your relationships, your health, your creative expression, your sense of meaning and purpose, that have not yet collapsed into form because the signal that would collapse them has not yet been transmitted. The signal that would collapse them is not a better affirmation. It is not a more precise visualization. It is not a more disciplined morning routine. It is the quality of consciousness that enters the quantum field every night, the coherence of the observer, the clarity of the witness, the degree to which your sleeping consciousness is transmitting the signal of what is genuinely possible for you, rather than the signal of what the pattern has always produced. And you can cultivate that, not by trying harder, by seeing more clearly, by becoming more consistently the observer who watches rather than the reactor who is watched. This is the work, and it is the most important work you can do. Not because someone told you to, because you have now seen what is actually happening while you sleep, and what has been seen cannot be unseen. Pause here. This is not a thought exercise, this is an observation. I want you to do one more thing before we move to the close, and I want you to do it with the full weight of what you've just seen. Think of one thing in your life that has been showing up as a pattern, one thing that keeps repeating in different forms, one thing that you have explained, rationalized, worked on, tried to change, and that has persisted despite your efforts. Now, instead of looking at the pattern as a problem to be solved, look at it as a signal. The field's precise response to something in your consciousness that has been transmitting consistently below the level of your waking awareness in the state of maximum coherence every night. Don't try to identify what that something is. Don't try to fix it. Just watch it. Just acknowledge that it is there, that there is something in you that has been speaking to the field in a way you haven't been aware of. Something that the night has been amplifying. Something that has been shaping the probability landscape of your reality from a level you haven't been looking at. Watch it without judgment. Watch it without the need to change it. Just see it. Because the moment you see it, the moment you bring the observer's clear, unflinching attention to it, you have introduced a new variable into the quantum calculation. You have changed the observation, and at the quantum level, changing the observation changes the outcome. You don't have to do anything else right now. Just see it. That's enough. That's more than enough, because clarity is the only force that transforms without resistance. Open your eyes. Now let's talk about what you do with this. Not as a technique, not as a system, but as a way of being in relationship with the night. The first thing you do is stop dismissing the transition. The hour before sleep, the hypnagogic threshold, the moment of waking, these are not irrelevant. They are the most quantum accessible moments of your day. They are the moments when the boundary between your waking consciousness and the field is thinnest. And what you do in those moments, what quality of consciousness you bring to them, matters more than you have been treating it. The second thing you do is stop treating dreams as entertainment or noise. When you wake with a dream image, a feeling, a fragment of narrative, so pause, not to analyze it, to observe it, to ask not what does this mean, but what is this showing me? What is the field, through the language of your dreaming consciousness, pointing at? What is alive in your quantum probability landscape that your waking mind has been filtering out? The third thing you do is practice the observer at the threshold, not meditation as a technique, observation as a state. The practice of becoming the witness of your own transition into sleep, of watching the waking self dissolve without trying to hold it together or hurry it along. Just watching, just being the one who sees. And the fourth thing, the one that changes everything, is this. You stop being afraid of what the field is doing while you sleep, because you now know that it is not doing something to you. It is doing something with you. It is in conversation with your consciousness, amplifying your signal, collapsing probability in the direction of your coherence, and your coherence is something you can cultivate. Your clarity is something you can deepen. Your relationship with the observer, with the part of you that watches without reacting, that sees without judging, that is present without agenda, is something you can strengthen, not by trying, by watching, by seeing, by being the observer more consistently in more moments, including and especially the moments that used to be invisible, the moments of the night. You are not here to fix your life. You are here to watch it transform the moment you stop looking away. And you have been looking away from the night, from the 8 hours that are, in quantum terms, the most generative, the most powerful, the most directly entangled with the field of all possibility. You have been treating them as a pause, as a reset, as something that happens to you while you're not paying attention. But you are paying attention now, and the moment you pay attention, the moment the observer is present, the wave function collapses differently. Your reality is not a fixed structure. It is a probability field, and it is being shaped every night by the quality of consciousness that enters the quantum synchronization, by the signal that your sleeping mind transmits to the field that underlies all of physical reality. And now you know what that signal is, and now you know how to cultivate it. And now you know that the most powerful thing you can do, not the most dramatic, not the most effortful, but the most powerful, is to enter the night as an observer, to carry the quality of clear, open, coherent attention into the threshold, to bring the witness into the dark forest and let it sit there feeling the field without needing to measure it or control it or confirm what it already knows. Because the forest is alive, the field is responsive, and your consciousness in the sleeping state is more entangled with it than you have ever been allowed to understand. Until now, something in you recognized this before your mind could catch up. Something in you has known for a long time that the night is not empty, that what happens while you sleep is not irrelevant, that the dreams you dismiss, the feelings you wake with, the knowing that arrives in the hours before dawn, these are not noise. They are the field speaking. They are the quantum probability landscape of your life showing you what is possible when the observer is present and the signal is coherent. You've been watching longer than you realize. You just didn't know what you were watching. Now you do. And here's what I want you to do with that. Not as a homework assignment, not as a practice to add to your already full list of things you're supposed to be doing, but as an act of genuine curiosity, as the observer who has just seen something new and wants to see more. Tonight, when you lie down, pause for 1 minute, just 1 minute, before the phone, before the thoughts, before the loop of tomorrow's concerns begins. Pause and notice the quality of consciousness you are about to carry into the field. Not to judge it, not to fix it, just to see it, to know what signal is being transmitted. And if what you see is fear or fragmentation or the tight grip of a mind that doesn't know how to stop controlling, don't fight it. Don't replace it with something better. Just watch it. Just be the observer of it. Because the observer, by observing, changes the signal, not through effort, through presence, through the quantum fact that what you watch, you change. And then let the night take you. Let the field receive you. Let the synchronization happen. Let the conversation between your consciousness and the quantum substrate of reality proceed, not with your agenda, but with your coherence, with the coherence of a consciousness that has stopped looking away. Because what you observe, you change. What you avoid controls you. And the night, the vast, quantum-rich, probability-laden, field-entangled night, has been the thing you've been avoiding the most. Not with fear, with inattention, with the assumption that it doesn't matter, that it's just biology, that the real work happens in the daylight hours of conscious effort and deliberate intention. But the real work is happening in the dark, and it has always been happening in the dark, and now you see it. And what has been seen cannot be unseen. If you are watching this and something in you is still, not quiet in the way of not knowing what to say, but quiet in the way of having just seen something true, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Tell me one thing you saw when you looked at the night differently. Tell me one thing you've been dismissing that you're going to start observing. Tell me what the field has been showing you in your dreams that you haven't been listening to. Because we are not watching alone. Every person who sees this clearly adds to the coherence of the field. Every observer who stops looking away makes it easier for the next one to look. And the field, the quantum probability field that underlies all of physical reality, is responsive to collective coherence in ways that individual consciousness cannot fully access alone. We are a field of observers, and our collective seeing is more powerful than any individual act of manifestation. If this transmission changed something in you, if you felt something shift in the way you understand what is happening while you sleep, share it. Not because the algorithm rewards sharing, but because someone in your life is ready to look. Someone is lying awake tonight, feeling the weight of the same patterns, the same loops, the same sense that something is happening beneath the surface of their life that they don't have language for. And this might be the language they've been waiting for. When you share this, you are not just passing along a video. You are giving someone else permission to stop looking away from what they already sense is true. That act of permission is itself a field event. It amplifies the clarity for both of you and contributes to a collective seeing that neither of you could reach alone. Give them the courage to look and subscribe. Not because you want more content, because you are choosing to stay in the clarity, because you have decided to be the kind of person who looks rather than looks away. And every video on this channel is an invitation to look more carefully at something you've been avoiding, and to discover that the moment you see it clearly, it cannot hold the same power over you. You were never meant to look away. The observer is the most powerful position in the universe, not because it controls, because it sees. And clarity, the specific, unflinching, quantum-precise clarity of genuine observation, is the only force that transforms without resistance. You have been sleeping your entire life, and every night something extraordinary has been happening in the dark. Something that the quantum field has been doing with your consciousness while your waking mind was absent. Something that has been shaping the probability landscape of your reality in ways you couldn't see because you weren't looking. Now you are looking. Now you carry the observer into the night. Now you know that the 8 hours you've been calling unconscious are the 8 hours of maximum quantum coherence, of direct field entanglement, of the most powerful conversation your consciousness has with the substrate of reality. Now you know that the signal you transmit in that state is the signal the field amplifies. Now you know that the quality of your sleeping consciousness is the quality of your quantum relationship with what is possible. And now you know how to cultivate it, not by controlling the night, by observing it, by being the witness at the threshold. by carrying the clear, open, coherent attention of the observer into the dark forest and letting it feel the field without needing to measure it. What you watch, you change. What you avoid controls you. You were never meant to look away, and tonight, for the first time or the first time in a long time, you won't. The observer is awake, the field is listening, and reality has no choice but to respond. Watch this next. Once you see the autopilot running everyone around you, nothing looks the same takes what you've just understood about the sleeping signal and shows you exactly where it originates in your waking hours. The unconscious programs running beneath every decision, every reaction, every pattern you've been trying to change. Seeing it clearly is the next layer of this same work.